Hello, and welcome once again to the video. And this one, I thought I would take a little look at a figure that I've had, a Star Wars figure that I've had since Christmas Day 1980. This, of course, is C-3PO. I've never known if he should be pronounced C-3PO or C-3PO. I think it's probably C and then a pause and then 3PO, C-3PO, because there is a dash between the C and the 3. Although I've known C-3PO so long that I can probably get away with calling him 3PO, I reckon, for short, like Luke Skywalker always did. Not much articulation in the limbs of these particular figures, but they're very old, of course. I know that I got this on Christmas Day 1980 because I have a photo of me getting it on that day. I did a video on Stormtrooper, my old Stormtrooper recently. That one I got on Easter Sunday, 1979, along with Chewbacca. But I no longer have Chewbacca, unfortunately. Don't know where he is. As I've said before, I first saw Star Wars on the 21st of March, 1978. It was written in my mother's diary. That's how I know the precise date. That was 2 months after it was released in nationwide in the UK. 21st of March 1978, and I haven't looked back since. Still a fan now. Of course, at the moment we have The Bad Batch Season 3. Now, I'm not a fan, I have to say, of the animated series, simply because they're animated and not live action. You could say I'm a bit of a snob about that sort of thing. It's not because I think they're more childish, because the live action, you could argue, is just as much for children as the cartoons. So it's not that, it's just the format. I just prefer live action. It's more detailed, looks more real. But having said that, I do watch them all. I did watch Clone Wars first time round. I've only watched it once, Clone Wars, and I might not have seen all the episodes. The Rebels, I watched all of that, but I forget it all, basically. It's tricky to remember it all. But I have watched all of Bad Batch so far. Yeah, we're on the 3rd series of that at the moment. It's not too bad. I mean, I watch it so that I'm up to date, I'm up to speed with Star Wars. So it's almost like it's research, watching it. Doesn't mean it's painful to watch it. I do, to a certain extent, enjoy watching Hunter and Recker, or Recker, as Omega calls him, with her New Zealand accent. Of course, Omega has to have a New Zealand accent because what's the guy's name who played Jango Fett? I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was a New Zealander anyway in the prequels. And so therefore all the clones have to have this New Zealand accent. I don't know why, because an accent comes from where you live. It's not genetic, an accent. So I don't know why all of the Stormtroopers, all the clone troopers, all had to have a New Zealand accent. All had to have the same accent as Jango Fett. There's no reason for that, but there you go. I think it's simply because that actor did all their voices. Did he do all their voices? No, I shouldn't think he did, actually. He wouldn't have done all their voices in Clone Wars, would he? No, but they just wanted everyone to sound like Jango Fett, just to make it obvious that they're all clones of Jango Fett. But of course, an accent is, as I say, from where you live or where you've been brought up. It's nothing to do with genetics. So this Omega, because she's a clone, she therefore has to have the standard genetic New Zealand accent. So she calls Recker Ricker, Crosshair she calls Crosshair, and then you've got Tick and Echo, otherwise known by their real names of Tech and Echo, but she calls them Tick and Echo. But yeah, it's quite fun. It's not too bad. You got, of course, the standout thing is that Ian McDiarmid plays the Emperor certainly in the third series, the series that's currently on. There's been recently an episode with the Emperor, and it was Ian McDiarmid doing the voice, which is great. The original Emperor. Well, I say the original Emperor. In The Empire Strikes Back, it was actually when Vader communicates with the Emperor and you just see the Emperor's face. It's actually a woman, I think a makeup artist, who was just happened to be on the set, and they just quickly made her up to do, because they weren't planning to do it, I assume. And she ended up being the first face of the Emperor as a woman. I don't know who did the voice. Of course, it's supposed to look like a man. It's not. They didn't make it up. They didn't make out that the Emperor was a woman, but it was a woman playing that first one. It's now been, with the special editions, that's been replaced by Ian McDiarmid in The Empire Strikes Back. Ian McDiarmid having played the Emperor in Return of the Jedi. Fantastic performance. The best acting performance in the whole of Star Wars. Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor. But, of course, Anthony Daniels was very good as C-3PO. It was Anthony Daniels' idea to have his arms outstretched as he was walking along, like that, because he was saying, well, C-3PO is going to be very stiff and he's unwieldy, he's stiff, he can't walk properly. Not just Anthony Daniels in the costume, but the actual character itself as well. And so he said he should have a particularly stiff gait as he walks along. Just makes it more obvious that he's an android. And George Lucas loved that. And so, yeah, he said, go with that. Go with how you feel the character should be. Anthony Daniels really got into it. He really sees C-3PO as him. And so he should, because he's played C-3PO in everything since. Really fantastic dedication from Anthony Daniels to the part. So uncomfortable in the suit, especially in the original Star Wars. It got better and better as movies went by, but so uncomfortable. He used to get lots of cuts and grazes and would suffer from blood circulation being cut off in certain parts of his body because he couldn't, because of the tightness of the suit. And in between shots, he couldn't sit down. He would just lean up like a ladder. He would just lean up against a wall. And you'd have Harrison Ford lounging on the ground, just chilling out. C-3PO would be propped up against a wall, with everyone forgetting that Anthony Daniels is still inside. Fantastic. They haven't managed to recreate C-3PO's role his importance, basically, in the films since the original 3. He's slotted into the original 3 films perfectly. Since then, it's always felt like they've just thought, oh, we should put a bit of let's put a bit of C-3PO into this movie. Let's just chuck him in here a little bit and have him come out with some crazy stuff, and then we'll continue with the story. He was integral to the original trilogy, but that has not been recaptured in either the sequel trilogy or the prequel trilogy, unfortunately. But, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, his big main thing was the original trilogy, him and R2-D2. It's the same with R2-D2. He hasn't really slotted in to the sequel or the prequel trilogy. It feels like they're doing cameos in those films, because that's exactly what they are doing. They're not integral to the plot or anything, you know, they're not particularly helping our heroes that much. But in the original trilogy, fantastic. You were supposed to see the original trilogy from their point of view, actually. They were seen as the everyman, basically. All this wonderful stuff was going on around them. And they were supposed to be, especially C-3PO, was supposed to be like you or me. A bit bewildered, a bit not sure what's going on. Yes, R2 was a bit more clued up. But C-3PO was definitely basically the audience in a way, getting just as sort of confused and wowed by certain things as we were. Let's see if I can get a little bit of close-up shot. Just trying to think if I can get a good thumbnail photo, good thumbnail shot for the video. Let's see. Might be able to. Still nice and shiny, isn't he? It's very shiny. I don't polish him at all. But 44 years, well, just over 43 years after getting him, and he's still just as shiny as he ever was. My Stormtrooper has gone a bit yellow in the legs and arms for some reason, but this guy, and my Darth Vader has lost his lightsaber, but this guy is it's perfectly good. I think I've got an R2-D2 as well. I'll have to do a little video on R2-D2 as well. Now, maybe I do a sideways shot. Would make a good thumbnail, possibly, showing the whole figure. So there you are. I think I'll end the video here. There is my C-3PO. Let's get that back into focus as I go down. Okay. There you have it. There you have it, and there he is. Oh, jumping about. Okay, well, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so, or leave a comment, or like, or leave a tip even on the thanks button underneath the video, below the video. But just thank you for watching, basically. And I will see you, hopefully, or you will see me, on the very next video. Goodbye for now.